Think your worn-out Jefferson nickel is worthless? Think again. Some Monticello Jefferson nickels, even in bad condition, can be rare coins worth a fortune, sometimes even thousands or millions. Watch this before you spend your change. First up, the 1985 D Jefferson nickel with Monticello design, when studied in heavily circulated or bad condition, represents a very common but historically important example of modern U.S. coinage that has passed through decades of everyday use, and even though it does not hold high monetary value, it still carries educational, historical, and numismatic significance because it reflects how mass-produced currency behaves after long exposure to circulation, friction, and environmental factors. This coin was struck in 1985 at the Denver Mint, indicated by the small D mint mark located on the reverse side near the depiction of Monticello, which is the plantation home of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, and one of the most recognized architectural landmarks in American history, and this design has been used on the Jefferson nickel since 1938, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. circulation. The obverse of the coin features the profile portrait of Jefferson, and in bad condition this portrait becomes heavily worn, with facial details such as the eye, nose bridge, hair curls, and jawline becoming flattened or almost invisible due to long-term friction caused by coins rubbing against each other in pockets, cash drawers, vending machines, and other handling environments, while the reverse side showing Monticello also loses its architectural sharpness, with the columns, stairs, dome outline, and doorway becoming faint, blurred, or completely smooth, making it difficult for beginners to identify finer design elements. The coin is made of a copper-nickel clad composition, consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel, weighing 5 grams and measuring 21.2 millimeters in diameter, a standard specification used for all Jefferson nickels minted after 1965, which provides durability for circulation but still allows gradual surface wear over time, especially when coins are exposed to dirt, moisture, chemicals, or abrasive contact. The 1985 D nickel was produced in very large numbers by the United States Mint, which means it is not rare in circulated condition, and millions of examples entered everyday commerce, so in poor condition it usually holds only face value unless it has a rare mint error such as double die strike, off-center strike, or lamination error, which are not common for this issue. In coin grading terms, a badly worn example might be classified as good G4, very good VG8, or fine F12 depending on how much detail remains visible, and in extreme cases it may fall into about good AG3, where only basic outlines of Jefferson and Monticello remain recognizable, with no sharp details left. Environmental damage can also affect these coins, including corrosion, discoloration, black staining, green oxidation, or rim damage, especially if the coin was stored improperly in soil, water, or humid conditions, which further reduces its visual appeal and collector interest. Despite its low market value, this coin still plays an important role in numismatics because it helps collectors and students understand the difference between circulated and uncirculated condition, and it serves as a real-world example of how coin surfaces degrade over time. The Monticello design itself is historically significant because it connects directly to Thomas Jefferson and his estate Monticello, symbolizing American architectural heritage and early presidential history, and even though the worn coin loses visual clarity, the symbolic meaning remains unchanged. Collectors sometimes include such coins in typesets or historical collections simply to represent circulation grades across different decades, but serious collectors usually prefer higher-grade examples where details are sharp and mint luster is preserved. Overall, the 1985 D Jefferson nickel in bad condition is not valuable in monetary terms, but it remains a genuine artifact of American everyday currency circulation, showing the durability of the copper-nickel alloy. The the wide production scale of the United States Mint, and the long-lasting legacy of the Jefferson nickel design, which continues to serve both practical and historical roles in understanding U.S. coinage evolution. Next up, the 1957 Jefferson nickel without a visible mint mark, especially when found in bad or heavily circulated condition, is a classic example of mid-20th century United States coinage that reflects both historical design and everyday monetary use, and although it is not considered rare in worn state, it still holds numismatic and educational importance because it belongs to the long-running Jefferson Nickel series that began in 1938 and continues to represent American heritage through its design featuring Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and Monticello on the reverse. In 1957, most nickels were produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally did not use a mint mark during that period, so a no mint mark 1957 nickel simply indicates it was struck in Philadelphia, and this was a normal and extremely common issue rather than a rare variety, meaning millions of examples entered circulation through everyday commerce across the United States. The coin is composed of a copper-nickel alloy, 75% copper and 25% nickel, weighs 5 grams, and measures 21.2 millimeters in diameter, making it durable but still subject to long-term wear when used repeatedly in circulation, and in bad condition this coin typically shows heavy flattening of both obverse and reverse details, where Jefferson's facial features such as hair curls, eye shape, nose structure, and jawline become weak, smooth, or almost completely worn away due to friction caused by constant handling, while on the reverse side the Monticello building also loses architectural clarity, with columns, dome shape, steps, and door outlines fading into a soft or blurry silhouette rather than a detailed structure. In heavily circulated condition, the surface of the coin may also become scratched, dull, or slightly discolored due to environmental exposure such as moisture, dirt, oxidation, and contact with other metals, and in some cases the coin may develop dark toning or copper staining, especially if it has been stored improperly over many decades. Since the 1957 nickel was mass-produced by the United States Mint, it is considered a very common coin in numismatics, and even in poor condition it usually holds only face value unless it contains a rare mint error such as die cracks, repunched details, or off-center strikes, which are uncommon but can increase collector interest. In grading terms, a badly worn example might fall into categories such as good G4, where only basic outlines remain visible, very good VG8, where slight design elements are still detectable, or about good AG3, where the coin is extremely smooth and details are nearly erased. Despite its low monetary value in damaged condition, this coin still plays an important role in understanding circulation wear and grading standards, because it clearly demonstrates how decades of use affect coin surfaces and why uncirculated coins are more valuable in collector markets. The Monticello design itself is historically significant because it represents the home of Thomas Jefferson, located at Monticello, and it symbolizes American architectural heritage and early presidential history. Even when the coin's physical details become worn or faint, collectors often use such coins for educational purposes or type collections to show different stages of wear across the Jefferson Nickel series, but they are generally not highly valued in the market unless they are in high grade or contain significant mint errors. Overall, the 1957 no-mint marked Jefferson Nickel in bad condition is not rare or expensive, but it remains an important piece of American coinage history, reflecting decades of circulation, mass production by the United States Mint, and the long-standing legacy of the Jefferson Monticello design, making it a useful example for learning how ordinary coins age, circulate, and gradually lose detail over time in real economic use. Next up, The 1977 D. Jefferson nickel with Monticello design in bad or heavily circulated condition is a typical example of late 20th century United States coinage that has passed through years of daily use in commerce, and although it does not carry high collector value in worn condition, it still has historical and numismatic importance because it represents the durability and mass circulation of American currency during the 1970s. This coin was minted in 1977 at the Denver Mint, indicated by the small D mint mark located on the reverse side near Monticello, the historic plantation home of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, whose portrait appears on the obverse side of the coin, while the reverse features Monticello, a symbol of American architecture and early national heritage that has been used on the Jefferson Nickel series since 1938. In heavily worn condition, the obverse design becomes significantly flattened, meaning Jefferson's facial features such as hair curls, eye detail, nose structure, cheek contours, and jawline gradually fade away due to constant friction from handling, pocket wear, and contact with other coins, while the reverse side showing Monticello also loses clarity, with the building's columns, dome shape, roof lines, steps, and door details becoming weak, blurred, or almost completely smooth depending on the level of circulation wear. The coin is made of a copper-nickel clad composition consisting of 75% copper and 25% nickel, weighs 5 grams, and measures 21.2 millimeters in diameter, which makes it strong and long-lasting in circulation but still subject to gradual surface degradation over decades of use, especially when exposed to dirt, moisture, oxidation, and repeated physical abrasion. The 1977 D. Jefferson nickel was produced in large quantities by the United States Mint, meaning it is a very common coin in circulation, and therefore in heavily worn condition it typically has no significant premium value beyond its face value of 5 cents unless it contains rare mint errors such as die cracks, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, or other anomalies, which are not common but occasionally increase collector interest. In grading terms, a badly worn example of this coin may fall into categories such as good G4, where only basic outlines of Jefferson and Monticello remain visible, very good VG8, where faint design elements are still detectable, or about good AG3, where the coin is extremely smooth and only general shapes can be identified. Environmental factors can further damage the coin's appearance, including corrosion, dark toning, greenish oxidation caused by copper reaction, scratches from rough handling, and rim dents caused by impact, all of which reduce visual appeal and collector demand. However, despite its poor condition, the 1977 D nickel still has educational importance because it helps collectors and students understand coin grading systems, circulation wear patterns, and the difference between mint state and circulated coins. The Monticello design itself carries strong historical meaning because it represents the legacy of Thomas Jefferson and his estate Monticello, symbolizing early American leadership, architecture, and cultural heritage, and even when the physical details are worn down, the symbolic value remains an important part of U.S. numismatic history. Collectors often include such coins in typesets or study collections to demonstrate different levels of wear across decades of Jefferson nickel production, but in general the market value remains low unless the coin is in high grade or contains a notable mint error. Overall, the 1977 D. Jefferson nickel in bad condition is not rare or valuable in financial terms, but it remains a genuine artifact of everyday American circulation, reflecting large-scale production by the United States Mint, long-term use in commerce, and the enduring presence of the Jefferson Monticello design, making it a useful example for understanding how ordinary coins age, circulate, and gradually lose detail over time in real economic life. Next up, The 1997 P. Jefferson Nickel with Monticello design in bad or heavily circulated condition is a very common modern U.S. coin that represents everyday American currency usage in the late 20th century, and although it has very low monetary value when worn, it still carries historical and numismatic significance because it reflects large-scale coin production, long circulation life, and the durability of the Jefferson Nickel series. This coin was minted in 1997 at the Philadelphia Mint, indicated by the P mint mark on the obverse side near Jefferson's portrait, and it belongs to the long-running Jefferson Nickel series that began in 1938, featuring Thomas Jefferson on the front and Monticello, his historic Virginia estate, on the reverse as a symbol of American heritage and classical architecture. In heavily worn condition, the obverse design becomes significantly flattened, meaning Jefferson's facial features such as hair curls, eye details, nose shape, cheek structure, and jawline gradually fade away due to long-term friction caused by circulation in pockets, wallets, vending machines, and cash handling systems, while the reverse side showing Monticello also loses sharpness, with columns, steps, dome outline, roof edges, and door details becoming weak, smooth, or almost completely invisible depending on the level of wear. The coin is made from a copper-nickel clad composition, 75% copper and 25% nickel, weighs 5 grams, and measures 21.2 millimeters in diameter, making it highly durable for circulation but still subject to gradual surface deterioration over time, especially when exposed to dirt, moisture, oxidation, and repeated physical contact with other coins. The 1997 P nickel was produced in extremely large quantities by the United States Mint, meaning it is not rare in any condition, and in heavily worn state it usually holds only face value unless it contains unusual mint errors such as die cracks, off-center strikes, or doubled features, which are not common but can sometimes attract collector attention. In grading terms, a badly worn example may fall into categories like good G4, where basic outlines remain but most detail is gone, very good VG8, where slight facial or architectural elements are still visible, or about good AG3, where the coin is extremely smooth and only the general shape of the design can be recognized. Environmental damage can further reduce its appearance, including corrosion, dark staining, scratches, rim dents, or green oxidation caused by copper reaction, especially if the coin has been stored in poor conditions for many years. However, even in bad condition, this coin has educational importance because it helps beginners and collectors understand coin grading, circulation wear patterns, and how everyday money changes over time through continuous use. The Monticello design itself remains historically significant because it represents the legacy of Thomas Jefferson and his estate Monticello, symbolizing early American leadership, architecture, and cultural history, and even when the physical details are worn away, the symbolic meaning of the design remains part of U.S. coin heritage. Collectors may still include such coins in typesets or study collections to demonstrate different stages of wear across modern Jefferson nickels, but in general they are not highly valued unless they are in high grade or contain rare minting errors. Overall, the 1997 P. Jefferson nickel in bad condition is not rare or expensive, but it remains a genuine piece of modern American circulation history, reflecting mass production by the United States Mint, long-term everyday use, and the continued presence of the Jefferson Monticello design in U.S. coinage, making it a useful example for understanding how ordinary coins age, wear down, and gradually lose detail over time in real economic life. Please like and subscribe to my channel.